Alright, good morning, we're back finally for another Saturday stream. Took me a minute to get things set up correctly. But I think we are ready now. Alright, so we'll go here. Welcome, good morning. If anyone who is watching is new or you don't know, or you're catching this in the future on the video, if you don't know, my name is Tim. I go by Foamy on GitHub and Discord. I usually stream a couple of times on a week. On Tuesdays over on the Adafruit stream has been my main time slot lately to work on stuff related to CircuitPython. I do stream here on Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Time as well. Though this is my first week back after taking a break from the Saturday streams. Grab some coffee here. Occasionally, I will fill in on Fridays for the deep dive, and when I do that, I do typically take off on Saturdays. So I've done a couple of deep dives in a row, and so I took off on the Saturdays, but now we're back. Greetings from Germany, 5 p.m. here, quite hot and sunny. Yeah, it's been very hot and sunny here as well. Thanks for tuning in. Let me see here. Oh, our anonymous, I see. 8113. So if you don't know, what I usually stream about is CircuitPython. You can learn more about it at the main website here, circuitpython.org. This is basically a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. We're going to be looking at the Fruit Jam today to start with. Maybe we'll venture into some other places depending on how it goes, but this is where we're going to start. These devices, there are many different shapes and sizes of microcontrollers. CircuitPython is just one way to program them. The way it typically works, they'll have a USB plug. You plug it into your computer with a USB cable. It shows up like a thumb drive. You can edit a Python code file on there. When you save it, the Python code will execute. The microcontroller, I should say, will interpret and execute that Python code for you, and it can interface with whatever other hardware peripherals are attached. So in the case of this Fruit Jam, it is like a whole little mini computer. It has a Wi-Fi chip, it has an SD card, it has a pair of USB ports because there's a hub, it has stemma connectors, audio out, DVI video out by way of an HDMI shaped plug. It's got some buttons, it's got all manner of amazing things. And like I said, there's lots of different shapes and sizes, different amounts of built-in peripherals. This one has loads of stuff. There are more general ones as well. CircuitPython is supported on a whole load of devices. You can find them there on the downloads page. As always, thanks to Adafruit. Adafruit makes CircuitPython possible. They are a hardware and software company based out of New York. They pay a team of folks, including myself, to work on CircuitPython. So if you would like to help support them, or CircuitPython, or any of the other open source software that they do pay people for, there are Arduino drivers and all sorts of other stuff that's unrelated to CircuitPython, but is also open source and also funded by them. So if you would like to help support that and all the open software, one of the easiest ways to do it is by purchasing hardware on their website, which you can do at adafruit.com. It looks like, in fact, right now, I didn't even know this, Gleam 15% off. So there's, looks like a little code there for a nice little discount going on right now. So like I said, I'm jumping in with the Fruit Jam today, and we are getting back to picogame. For anyone who didn't catch the prior stream, it would have been over on the Adafruit channel when I worked on picogame, I think last Friday, maybe. It was on the deep dive last week, on the Friday deep dive. I made it, I think, about halfway through of this third tutorial, so I am going to pick up there. But the other thing, we're going to take a bit of a detour into left field. We're going to see how far down the rabbit hole it leads us. So eventually maybe we'll work our way back to just doing it how we were. But I would like to try out the Fruit Jam support. So Smitka, the person who's been working on this, or on GitHub, they are, is it Maker Class, I think? Maker Class CZ, created this picogame framework, one of the things that they added recently was support for is it frame buffer IO, I think, under the hood, but it basically is what Pico DVI needs in order to be able to output the way the FruitJam does to the DVI display, which in my case I have captured here on a little capture card, USB capture card device. So that is the very quick high level look at where we're diving in. To start, we are going to need the actual build that supports this. So picogame is right now is also involving a fork of CircuitPython, because picogame has a core module along with a bunch of Python level libraries that go along with it and help you build games. So the other part of this we'll need is to enable this on the right device. So what I was building for previously was Pomeroni Pico system, which again, we may get back to that. But for now, I'm actually going to try this one, FruitJam. And I think we must probably need both of these. I'm not sure actually if we need both of these or not. I'm going to get both of them. No dice. Oh, I think I'm not in the virtual environment. I don't know, like, because I said it, do I keep doing this thing where I'm like, I don't know why it picks. Oh. Memory. The heap size. Oh yeah, I think I've done that before. I mess with it right now. I'm still not in the virtual environment because even though I just set the thing, it doesn't like automatically take effect, turns out. Okay, while this is running, I'm also gonna avalanche this disk. Ready to be emptied off further. Made a dent in it the other day, but it needs some more help. But I'm going to grab this cable and I'm going to try to connect the Pico system so we can get the code where we were at in the last tutorial. I presume we'll have some different kind of stuff. In fact, why don't we start back with the first tutorial code if we're going to jump into the FruitJam. I'll pick back up in the tutorial where I left off, but I figure using the most basic code will probably make sense when we are switching to the whole new display mechanism. Okay, so we do have a build. It is FruitJam, so this is button. AI viewers, I don't want any of those. Please go away. All right. Should be booted. Here. I don't actually know what's running on it. Oh, well, okay, the boot animation is running on it, but it does pause for some reason. I don't know why it's not finishing, but that's like neither here nor there. We don't really need to worry about that. Right now. Could figure it out, because there is a question of like, did it get... Like, is it actually that way on the latest builds in main and everything? If so, then it definitely deserves some more attention. Is it just some weird thing I left on mine, or did it get corrupted, or something? In that case, it doesn't matter as much. I don't... Do I need this? I don't think I need this. This is saving... I mean, we could keep it, I guess, but it's I2S mic record SD card. Yeah, so let's do actually bounce back up to like the most basic code we can. Oh, you know what I meant to grab actually before I started and totally forgot was the controller. And the controller. No module picogame game. So I think the library we will need. And I will try to grab the updated one of those as well. We can get from the other repo. I guess I could clone this? Maybe have it cloned, I don't know. Here at least. I mean, would it be here though? It's kind of a CircuitPython thing. No. I think auto reload's turned off, probably. Picogame needs 16-bit frame buffer. Set the display color depth. Okay, do that. Definitely down with an error message that gives you... Oh, okay, let me not just mindlessly open this file, though. 1 second here. Ah, okay. Luckily past him. Came in clutch with the column of comments, just in case. Color depth 16. Which means it's going to need the size to be 320 by 240, I think, right? I think 16 does, if I recall right, it's color depth 8 can be 640 by 480, which is what it's on right now. We could tell because it has so much text. If I reset it, after I saved Toml, now, yeah, the text is much larger, and we can fit way fewer of it on. I presume this will still get stuck. I also don't care that much. Module has no frame buffer. Okay. Oh, that's inconvenient. So my guess is that we probably do need to actually like do something different to work with the DVI display. Why can I not click that? Oh well, this is the same tab I want anyway. If there's anything about Gordy G, AI viewers, is that a YouTube Discord? It was, sorry, no, it was in Twitch, in fact. Yeah, Twitch, the thing is, basically probably like at least once a stream, honestly. For me, if I pay attention to the Twitch chat, there will just be a rando that shows up that's like some variation of buy viewers. Would you like to buy viewers? This one said, I think, AI viewers or whatever I offhandedly read in the moment. Yeah, sometimes they have a whole script. They were doing this whole thing with headphones for a minute. They were like, I don't have sound, my headphones are broke, can you reply in the chat? It was like, had this whole script going for a minute, but we're back to just the low-hanging fruit spam, please buy. And so yeah, I went and banned them over there. I'm not sure what I need to set in order to get the display working. So I guess let's just keep tracing. So this is saying the module has no frame buffer. So let's go and look here. We do have... One thing that might be good is to throw all of these into a package or module, whatever Python. So like it's got a folder basically. Might be good to have a folder of these. Which one was it? It was picogame, right? Yeah. Picogame game. And then 116. Yeah. So this is calling frame buffer. It's passing in raw. Okay, let's just look at what this is doing here. We could probably just sneak in here somewhere. I really started to hate the AI stuff. Interesting as it is, it's totally fills all the channels with useless data. Yeah, I can see how some folks feel very strongly negatively about it. I am somewhere in the middle. Personally, I think it's like definitely got shoved down everyone's throats in all of the products and everything. All of a sudden is like use the AI feature inside of every single thing ever. Even things where it makes no sense is a bit much, and certainly in the places where software developers tend to congregate, of which I am one. Over the past couple of years, it's gotten an avalanche of stuff about it for sure. Yeah, I'm kind of on the like try to take it and use what I can where I can to make myself better and things I'm working on better, and try to basically just let everyone have their own. So actually, this should be grabbing the display. No display found on a DVI board set. Interesting. So we didn't see this get printed, but well, if display is, well, that would be none. Yeah, interesting. I would think here, print, what if we print this? Setting display We don't need to be shouty. I don't know why I just did that. Setting display to supervisor runtime display. Does do that. So this gets set here, but still 117. We're trying to do what? We're trying to... I think it's like it doesn't know. Trying to make a frame buffer from raw, which is display.framebuffer. We don't have. What does our display have? Oh, I'm gonna have to import supervisor runtime of. You have frame buffer actually. Is it just this? Is it looking for the wrong one there? Or no, because this is here. Raw. What is on frame buffer? Should have made display. Color depth, D init, width, and height. Like read-only stuff. PG is the core module or what? G, I think, is the core module. It is trying to call frame buffer with a capital. Okay, we may just be out of date actually, because it's saying module has no object frame buffer, but this would be the PG, I think, right? I don't know. Why did I do that? I shouldn't have done that. I don't want that. F versus F. It does, yeah, it does. It is switching there at one point. Picogame. I'm just gonna keep the full name, honestly. I don't need the PG thing. Picogame. What is on that? Or is it BM1 do? Some of these still could be, would be nice to be full words. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. There's, in fact, there is no frame buffer. Did I update? I thought I updated when I started, right? All files up to date. Is there a different, could there be a different branch? We can validate here that, oh. Game. Buffer target. Okay. Interesting. This looks like the function we're trying to call that's not there. 890, 66. Do I need to fetch? Maybe, well, no, I think that thing fetches, though. Hashes. paint the full frame buffer. There it is, frame buffer. Okay, I mean, I seem to have this. Bindings. picogame. We probably have to turn this on. Okay, I think we're there. I think we probably need this. Maybe even instead of this, I would guess. I'm gonna leave them both until find a reason not to. Huh? I think it didn't pick up the difference. Yeah, I think it must have not picked up the difference, so it just did nothing, basically. Okay, let's look also, while this is building, we can take a look as well instead of just straight guess and check on this one. So we can go shared bindings, picogame, init, and we should find this frame buffer function somewhere. Picogame.frameBuffer right here. Well, that's accept though. Maybe if we search for picogame.frameBuffer, this is the only place. Would be on the module, right? Oops. We can see definitely there's a flag for it. Maybe we just look at all the places where the flag is. Presumably somewhere would be the function. Oh, it's a class, not a function. Okay, that's an initializer. That's like I got you. That's a constructor. I didn't realize. I thought that was a function. Well, I mean, I guess that's why it's got the capital. That does make some sense, though. That does make some sense. Okay. All right, did we get the build or still going? Okay. And it is wrapped in this, so that was not enabled, so that's totally why I think that was not working. So let's go bootloader. Copy is up here. All right, what do we have now? Look at that. We have picogame on the display. Very nice. Okay, so then let's grab the tutorial. Pick up back where we were. So I think I was animation. We definitely did the walk animation. I think this might have been the last one I did. Oh, hey, you know what though? At the time when I did it, there was not these characters actually. We had just the blocky one, right? Had just this one. Maybe I didn't do animation. Either I didn't do animation or those are different. Or maybe both. Let's actually start one back then. Let's do walls and collision. And then we'll do animation. Does it need any different setup? I actually don't have to keep changing this anymore, which is nice. I should have used that command. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah, I don't know. So then occasionally you get like this, where it's just like, I don't, Rando wants to go to Discord. I think there's like a 99% chance this person will just try to sell viewers or something. At least they're not overtly doing it in the first thing. So if you actually can hear this though, friend on Twitch, please don't spam anything else or I will just ban you. But I'm good on connecting. No thanks. You could come join us on the Discord, which is linked below, conveniently down there somewhere. If you want to come join us there, that's cool. If not, then I'm good on that. Thanks, though. Let us go here. Whoops. Yeah, I should have launched this with... I found a command to do this without this other window, which is convenient because it... I don't think I have a way to move right now, actually. So theoretically, this would be doing what? This would be doing input buttons, but input buttons is either gonna not do anything at all, or is not gonna find a way to get actual inputs, I think, on this device. So that's actually, it's a good thing we started back here. Actually, we should, I'll take another slight detour here. We're gonna try to figure out how to get the controller to work too, which I don't think is gonna be hard. Knock on wood. Where's input? Why am I'm like blind right now? Okay. How's this working? It's gonna find pins, right? Yeah. Oh, interesting. Oh, right. I think I remember seeing this documented somewhere, actually. All right, so you can set it up there. Timer. Coyote time? Oh, I've heard that before, actually. Right. Yeah. Okay. I remember that, because it's like Roadrunner, Coyote. Yeah, lots of games do this, I guess. I don't know, why would this be in the... well, okay, I guess it is kind of tied to input, is it? I mean, it's really more tied to, like... gravity? I don't know, I guess it's kind of tied to the input. Basically, you give the player some grace where, like, technically, according to the physics engine, they're off the edge, they're over the ledge, but you let them jump anyway to make the game more fun, because games are about fun. Sometimes games are about fun. Games are hopefully should be about fun, but sometimes they're not. Let me go get the controller and let's see if we can refactor or make a different one of these. So I mean, this is basically just grabbing buttons using keypad. The pole, it looks like, is the main like meat and potatoes of this. If we just make a new pole that does USB host, read the controller stuff, and returns the same kind of bit mask. We will need to figure out the states. Does this thing have the bit masks, or... it does, but they're just these loops, which makes it a little difficult for my brain to wrap my head around. I guess we would probably think that these are the order, right? No. No. They're the numbers 1 through 8, so it's going to be like 0 through 7, actually. Alright, so it would be 0, down would be 1, so the far right bit is 1, left would be 2, so the next bit over is 1, so like 10, right, in binary. Yeah, I don't know. I might advocate for these to be pulled out and hard-coded more just to make it more apparent what they are. But we should be able to do the same thing. We might have to map, because I think we're already going to get data that's sort of in that format, but most likely the order is going to be different. Yeah. And in fact, not only is it going to be different, it's just altogether different, because this one does not just bits only, it has numbers, and the... Wait, are those bytes, or what are those? Yeah, those are bytes. Yeah, so we get a buffer, we check bytes within that buffer, and then each byte has a pairing that says, like, this is what maps to the A button, the B button, whatever. And I guess it does not support multiples of those to be down at once. But on the D-pad, it does support angles, because you can have one of up or down pressed, because it has its own index, and you can also have one of right or left pressed, because it has its own index. So the bulk of this is just map this into this order of bit mask thingy and return it from poll. So I guess we'll make maybe make a different class called, I don't know, gamepad or something. But first I need to get the gamepad, so I'll stop stalling and go and do that. BRB. Okay, have a gamepad. I don't have the camera set up, so you'll just have to trust me that I now have a gamepad and I'm plugging it in. I guess I could show you on this camera, right? But, I'm just gonna, for now, kind of gank this whole class or this whole file and make class SNES gamepad. What is this? Hmm. Oh. Interesting. Why though? Okay. I guess, I mean, that's just making it so that these constants from up here, which exist in the code file level, right? Whatever that's called. I don't know the precise correct name of it, but they're in the code file, in the main context of the code file. This is copying them into the context of the class. It's awkward as hell, though, because they have the same names, so it's like, it reads as though it's just doing nothing, like setting up to up and down to down, and like, but the right side is actually the file context ones, and the left side is actually creating class context ones, which I just clicked away from accidentally. I'm not sure I see the need for that, truthfully. I think the code that wants to use it could just import it from the module. This is just copying it to another place. I guess it's maybe convenience. I think I was trying to debate in my head there whether or not we want to follow the exact same signature or not, and I think it doesn't make any sense to. I will do profile because we could eventually set this stuff up in settings toml. I'm about to hard code it right here just to get this controller I have in front of me working. But we could totally read this stuff from settings toml. The most like useful dynamic variables, so like which index of the buffer to look and then what values to expect for which buttons. We could have that stuff in settings toml, and then this could all be set up dynamically. Wouldn't even be a SNES gamepad at that point, it would just be gamepad in fact. So why don't we plan ahead a little bit for that. For now I am just going to leave it none, but we will take that. Keypad we don't care about. We're not doing IO, like pin IO stuff. Debounce. I don't think we really have a... Do we? Is it... Well, does it trigger it to repress? Let me test on the Asteroids game. Oh, I don't have the Asteroids game loaded up right now, actually. I was gonna say on the I think you have to keep pressing it. I don't think it holds down like automatically as a part of the API. You could probably make your game look for that, but right now I don't think it just does it intrinsically. So I don't think we need debounce, but I'm not sure. Alright, so we can get some more constants. Those ones are important for the controller. Verbose, I don't care so much about that. Why do we have device and controller? What's the difference between those? Let's get used again. Controller equals device. But then it never gets used again, so it doesn't matter. I don't think we need controller. Oops. We'll get device instead. I don't know if, well, I don't know if we really want this loop. For now, like I said, I'm just going to assume that there's only one thing plugged in, and it's the thing I want. We could, as another part of the settings toml thing, right? You could include the, you know, I don't know, PID, VID, or some kind of ID identifying thing that's like, this is the controller I'm interested in. No, I think this is fine though. So self.device. Set the configuration. Might as well print that stuff. Tabs are just getting... Hatchet. Buffer to hold some data. Don't know if I need that. I don't know if we need that either. This was used for like debouncing to know if it changed, basically. But I think that might be a level up. Not sure. We'll have to see how the API is. It's like this was basically saying, don't bother with the rest of this stuff if we haven't changed from the previous state or if we are in the idle state. Which actually, now that I say it out loud, that is kind of useful. It does save time. I don't know if we care about the... I don't think we care as much about checking against the previous state, but we can check against the idle state. Because in the idle state, we know that nothing is pressed. Why do these things range? No, I think I was wrong on these. This is where I think it would actually be better to just print these out as bits, like in the code here, to just have this as bits instead of the whole shifty for loop thing. I think this must be because we can't really use all zeros. All zeros surely means that nothing is pressed. So this can't really be like 0, 1, 2, 3 and just converted to binary. That can't be right. This has to be like bit index, bit index 0, the first bit, the last bit. Bit index 1, bit index 2, bit index 3, and then it's a 1 if it's pressed and a 0 if it's not pressed. I think it has to be that, probably. I'm going to print some just to like... Will it do anymore? It's going to like offer to do me a couple more of them, I would like it, but I'm not going to type them all personally. Yeah, okay, so bit index 0, bit index 1, bit index 2. Yeah, okay. All right, so then in this case, yeah, this function will be nice because it will let us just return all zeros if this is equal to the idle. So we do need to save the idle state here. Basically saying if idle state is none. Interesting. I feel like we should do that just... Well, we don't have the data yet. One thing is, this is... I mean, it could actually just be static. Yeah, so I think we'll put this... idle state none. And then we actually need the poll. Does that take anything? So then when you call poll, if this is still none, we set it to the current state. We need to read this though. We don't have continue because we're not inside of a loop here, so I think we would just return 0. We get a USB timeout error, we don't know what buttons are pressed, so we assume no buttons are pressed. Device. I don't have a print array. But I think we could get away without. We could get away without it. I think it's fine. Idle state. Okay. So this will set the idle state for us. Then we can check if the current state is different from the idle state. But again, I don't think we care about the previous state here. I think that would be outside of this, but can I still do self even though it's static? So then if those are not equal, then we know that something has changed, right? A button has become pressed or unpressed. That's where we can do this. And now we pretty much just need to build the correct bit mask. Which is using all of these bit shifty operations. So I think we're gonna want to just do something like this. So if I go 0, up, and also left. Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna just do pipe. So we're gonna start with 0. We're gonna pipe equals all the things with 1 if their button is pressed. Do we need to do it with zeros if not? No. No, we don't, because we don't have zeros, and we're starting with 0, which means all the bits are already 0. So pull, what we're gonna do is return val 0. All of these buffs need to be self dot. And I guess we're missing something else too. Why are we missing those? Oh, those are on the class, I think. Unresolved attribute buff. Why does it not think it has buff? Is it too many? No, we have exactly 8. Okay. Didn't we create buff here? Buff. Fair enough. Good job, Linter. Alright, so we're basically just gonna be going like what? We're gonna be going return value type equals up. Be doing all of these. I'm gonna take out the prints for now. These should maybe be like button left, button right, button A. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. We're in input, so it's maybe assumed. Maybe XY. Down left, right. Shoulders. I thought we had shoulders, right? Don't we have shoulders? L1. Oh, we actually have two shoulders, which we don't have enough for. So we're just going to use L1 and R1. And then select and start. And then return it. Do we need to do anything else? I don't think so. But it's tough to say, like I said, with all honesty, the way the loops and everything and the bit math, bit shifting and all the stuff in here is, it's difficult for me to just like look at it and visualize what it's doing as compared to this. This is like huge, right? It's a huge giant if statement that's maybe uglier in some ways, but it's super clear to just be like, oh, this is X button, this is the A button, this is the whatever, right? Different styles. And then we will have to probably like forcibly use this. So this is just calling buttons. So yeah, actually we should be able to just say, what did I call it? Gamepad, right? Anything else need to change? I mean, it has poll. Does it need anything besides poll? What else does this have? Oh, yeah, we're gonna want those actually. Okay, yeah, we're certainly gonna want all of this stuff. Also, we're not saving state. We need to be saving the state. Are we? Where does that get saved? It's saved here. We should do that. So I guess just before we return it, this is doing repeats. Might be doing repeats. I don't know. This is another spot where it's like all of these single letter variables make it a little tricky to tell at a glance what it's doing. Now I could like go through and like isolate these and print them out and change their value and observe to try to figure it out. But that's That's basically what it would take for me, is to actually do all of that stuff. But that's easy enough. We can totally just set state inside a poll before we return it. And then we could always reference that. So self.state equals return val. Doesn't actually have a state. Put that on 0 to start with. One thing that is weird is now we have idle state, which is actually a buffer. This is the idle state of the USB descriptor data, so all the bytes that come from the USB when no buttons are pressed. And then we also have state, which is just the int, the bit mask value that we are returning from this upper level gamepad class, not the USB. Which is awkward that those have such similar names, but are actually totally different conceptually. It might be worth changing probably idle, I guess, since state was already used in the other one. Some of these, so I mean, now that we have yeah, I'm going to loop back around and try to figure this out. I'm not going to do it just yet. But now that we actually have state, could we just copy? Do we need these to be, well, okay, clear, I don't even think I'm not sure if we need this. All in scene menu transitions. I guess maybe we would. In our case, we wouldn't need to do any events clearing, though. But it is resetting all the states. This is keeping released and pressed and previous. Maybe we do want to do all of this. What is mapped, though? Proof the active profile actually maps. This board has the given buttons. Ah, okay, so like... Okay, I'm not going to worry about that just yet, but effectively what that would mean for this controller is like, if you did has L2 or has R2, it should return false. This is figuring it out from the pins, I guess, dynamically. In our case, like, it's hard code. Well, I mean, we're going to get back to settings tumble, I guess, so we can't assume. I mean, right now I am assuming hard-coded, but eventually we'll get back around. For now, though, I'm going to not worry about it, so I'm just going to not have mapped. And then the rest of these, this is using... Now, one thing is, though, it's got prev. Where does that get set? At the beginning of poll. Do the old state. Okay, we could do that. I don't think we need keys, though. That's for keypad. But pressed, released. I'm going to take hold, too. Even though I'm not going to try to do repeat first. Not sure if any of the tutorials use the repeat thing. If anything, it would be the asteroids, and I can't remember. I feel like I had to spam instead of just press and hold. Now then, for walking in the quest tutorial, the third one, you can hold the arrows, but I don't think that's doing like a repeat thing. I think that's probably just doing is pressed instead of the repeat thing. So So at the beginning of poll, we update previous to the old state, and at the end of we might not need this actually. In the case where these are equal, we would want to return. We still want to do stuff, basically. Means we actually don't need the whole idle state thing either. So we want to do this, and then what we want to do is, yeah, even if those, because even if that hasn't changed, we still need to return the correct buttons. So like, I guess we could have returned previous inside of there, and it would have been okay, but then we end up with multiple returns. This way, we just always set a return value. And we always return it. We always update state to it. So it doesn't matter if it's the same as the previous frame or not. We're still going to update everything, and we're still going to return the current state. Okay. So then is pressed and just pressed and just released, all of these should work, theoretically, because they pretty much just rely on state and prev. Why is this mad? Oh, this is like that one space off. That's weird. Oh, I got one space. Okay. Can we do any others? So has, I'm gonna skip for now. Repeat, I'm gonna skip. Clear, I guess we'll make a clear. It doesn't have any keypad thing to do, so instead it's just gonna reset the states. Alright, so we can do that too, I don't care. Hold, did I create the hold? Yeah, I did. Okay, so that's fine. Hold, I think that's for repeats, so we'll get to that eventually. Alright, so I'm gonna save this. Theoretically, like, we've made a lot of changes since the last time I ran, so I imagine it will crash, but did not crash. Look at that, I can even move. Would you look at that? There's a little bit of tearing in the rendering. And I don't remember, I'd have to load up the, actually I have it right here, I could. I have to load up the picogame. I don't remember if this feels faster? No, it's about the same speed. As far as like moving around, it's about the same speed. And I will say the tearing only occurs when the camera is scrolling. When the camera is not scrolling and just the player is moving, there's no tearing. But when the whole camera is moving, it does have those tearing lines. Now, one question is, like, I'm going through the USB capture card, right? If we were on a monitor, would we see those? I don't know. I'll have to check. But this is still really good. Okay. Basically, and all the basics are working, so that's super cool. Yeah. I'm gonna skip this stuff for now because we have enough to actually pick back up on this. Might actually be the version I have. Yeah, because it had collision, right? Yeah, the walls won't let you walk over them. Okay, so that was the version I had. And then animation is what's up next. Okay. We have hand-drawn ASCII mask, so there's no asset to manage. Ideal for learning. In a real game, you would use a proper image with a sprite sheet, bake it in, do a bitmap using that Python file, then you would animate it. See the assets guide, and each tutorial's bonusart.py. Bonusart.py. Look in the repo for that. So this gets anim, it gets down, up, side, side. Interesting. So it's not for left, right, share the same. Okay. Walking FPS is 8. Okay, so it's just using ASCII also for this, and then that's up there. What it was saying is like you would use an actual sprite for this. Probably my guess is like the reason this is ASCII here is so that there's not any extra files. It is actually weird that there is a side A and a side B. Pass under body? I don't know what that's trying to say, really. When here, it just shows side, side, so theoretically there wouldn't be a difference between them. Oh, no. Okay, A and B, those are animation frames. Right. Okay, those are not two different sprites, like you face one way with side A and one way with side B. Those are two different animation frames. So if you're walking and you're moving to the side, it will be flipping between these two frames back and forth. I think. That's like my hypothesis here at this point. BM. This could benefit from a better name. BM, I guess it means what? Bitmap mask? Mapping is the dictionary. So down maps to, so it's going to go shape from mask. So shape from mask, I'm pretty sure this is just converting this ASCII thing into a bitmap. And then this is getting a list of 2 bitmaps. So this is basically a dictionary that maps to the direction and then 2 bitmaps, like the 2 animation frames for that direction. Animated sprite. So then hero gets a dictionary with also these keys up, down, side, but the values are a tuple and they come with the list of sprites here. The walk FPS, I think that was hard coded to 8 further up, and I don't know what true is. And I know what true is, but I don't know what the third argument means there. Doesn't say. The list, well, maybe if it's over here. No, okay, not sure. We'd have to look at animated sprite. Facing down to start with. Assume 30 FPS. True false counts as 1 and 0, so this is -1 to the left, 0 for not. moving, and then +1 for the right. Yeah, this is just figuring out how far you're going to move, basically. You're going to move, either 0, or you're going to move 1 to the left or 1 to the right, 1 up, 1 down. Delta facing, so hero flip. Oh, interesting. Okay, that's how it's going to handle the other side, is use flip. It has flip X, actually, similar to tile grid. I wonder, so one thing I will say is the sprite system actually seems fairly close to tile grid. I wonder if there is an ability to, yeah, anyway, my mind wanders to like, how could this be integrated into display IO? Does it need to be its own thing? Or is there maybe a way to get the same underlying rendering improvements into display IO, or vice versa? Is there a way maybe where you could be using some display IO objects in some of these cases, like the sprite, I think it's called sprite class. I could be mistaken. Maybe it's bitmap class. One of the classes that's in picogame is quite similar to tile grid. It's not the exact same, but it's a very similar concept. I wonder if it could be like made to support either, or if that's even a good idea. I'm not sure. Walk.play, so that's gonna do the walking animation if we moved. And then I presume tick is what will make it actually go. So I assume play would make it so that the animation is playing, and then tick would potentially actually swap the frames. There's probably a timing mechanism inside there. I assume DT is like date. We'd have to look at the full code. I don't see where DT came from. I assume that's a timestamp though, and then tick would be checking the time, and if enough time has elapsed since the last time the frames changed, then it will change, I presume. Where's imp? There it is. ET over 30. Clock.tick. Yeah, it gets updated here. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Let's run this. Nice. The wiggly legs and the arm sliding there, back and forth, and then it flips with flip X to do the other way. That's pretty smart with the flip X, actually. I was thinking it was just gonna be like one frame that showed both, but all right, cool. Looks like he's skating. The way the legs look make him look like he's skating to me. Like, reminds me of Chip's Challenge when they skate on the ice. So items and a fixed HUD. This one puts coins on the map, being a normal scene. Maybe I'm trying to remember now. Maybe I did do that one before. I don't know. But items are what's next for sure. I feel like we might have gotten into the HUD actually too. Take a quick skim at the differences. So coin spots are a list, probably going to contain XY locations, I'm guessing. Coin spots append, yeah. Times tile. They're actually, I think, pixel locations, not XY. I think it might be pixels on the screen, not tiles in the map. Coin bitmap makes a circle, so just basic shape for the coin, probably yellow circle. Coins creates a list of sprites, so each coin has their own sprite. And they all get added to the scene. HUD gets created here as a label. This is another one where it's like, could this be bitmap label or something? I wonder. Pick up any coin we're standing on. I mean, I guess the true test is like a bitmap wiring. Like if we can get, or really a tile grid wiring, if we can get from display.io tile grid into picogame, then everything else that's built on top of display.io just kind of works. So it might be worth, I think there's a stage compatibility layer. It might be nice to make a display.io compatibility layer. All right, this looks pretty straightforward. So there's really just the coins in a list. We have locations for them. We have bitmaps for them. They got added to the scene. And then presumably if we run into them, then we pick it up. And it's checking if we ran into them by looping over all the coins. If the coin is visible, so I guess when we pick it up, it will be made not visible. We could like remove it from the list, and then we would stop checking it in each iteration of this, which is every game frame. So if we had a lot of coins, it might be worth removing it instead of just hiding it. But so if it's visible and if we are next to it, right, within 12 pixels, and we do know this must be pixels, presumably based on the label here is doing 12, and 12 would be a lot of tiles. And then it just hides it, +1 to your score, and then update the HUD. So all very straightforward, I think. All right, there we go. We've got our, oh, I need to change the input. Like, I can't move anymore. I need gamepad to be instead of buttons. And to restart because I don't have auto load on. Right, here we go. Nice, we got the coin. But was there 4? It must be more than 4. Oh, we didn't get that one. And 12 pixels. I wonder if it starts from the top left. Yeah, I think the 12 by 12 is going from the top left of the sprite, probably. I mean, we could easily offset it, right? In the code, it's just pixels, so we could easily just back it up by half of the sprite size. Then it would be the center. It would be centered on the sprite. Or the other thing we could do is just make it... Well, yeah, probably the best thing to do would be make it centered on the sprite and then make it a little bit bigger. Although in this case, we already have some padding. I think maybe this probably counts as the hitbox. So we actually do have a bit of padding. We'd probably just want to key off the center. How big is this? This is 16 by 16. So on our 12s, we could just bring it back a bit. So this is saying absolute value of hero X minus coin X. So mathematically, I can wrap my head around the fact that this is doing what it's doing, like it's checking if we're next to the coin. But if I'm honest, it doesn't, I don't think of it this way at all. This is like, so we're taking our location, we're subtracting it from, we're subtracting the coin's location from it. And then we are checking if the difference is less than a certain amount. So yeah, the change we would make here would be hero X plus half the width. We know is 8. We could maybe, is there a width? I don't know. We could do the same thing for the coin as well, truthfully. No width. Sprite has no width. Does it have something else? Oops. This feels so much like a terminal input. You know what's weird is we have grayscale Blinka. Cannot see the top of it. Bitmap? So this has an XY, not a width height, maybe bitmap though, so check this. That one has width height, okay. So hero.bitmap. So it's kind of like Sprite is like tile grid, and then bitmap, there's also a bitmap. In both display.io and picogame, I mean. Okay, why are we in grayscale now? How did we get to grayscale? Would there be a hotkey that goes to grayscale? Would it not be G? I'm gonna press reset on the fruit jam. Okay. I think this has to be in this thing. I have no idea. My guess is that there's a hotkey that I pressed. Camera controls. GitHub, actually. Maybe we should just go to the... That's it? Yeah. It's color map. Shift C. There you go. Shift C. All right, where was I? All right, so we should not. So like what I just did is it should. I think I still have a print, right? Yeah, this is printing in this super tight loop inside of every frame for every coin. And it's running in the background, which is actually slowing it down, slowing the walking down a little bit. Let's turn this off. I put it there because it was crashing, crashing immediately afterwards from the next statement. Yeah, there we go. Now we're back to real speed. It was immediately crashing, so it was not a problem, but it stopped crashing. All right, so this should solve the thing where we were able to like basically get on top of the coin from the top left like this before. Yeah, now it grabs much sooner. Now we could maybe even use a smaller hitbox by a little bit. But honestly, much like the coyote timing or whatever, that's kind of another thing, like games, just like to make the game more fun, it kind of like gives you an increased hitbox for picking up good stuff usually. Oh, we are still, well, okay, so we are still keying off the top left of the coin. We're now keying off the center of the player sprite, but still the top left of the coin. So actually, if we come from the bottom right here, we could get pretty much on it. Yeah. That's fine. We know how to fix that if we wanted to. Does this let you through? No, not yet. Okay. Maybe that's the last tutorial. Talk to an NPC. We have explore dialogue. Have the NPC location. We got rid of coins, or we still have coins? I'm not sure. Looks like the coins got removed, but then the for loop is still there. I do think sometimes these, the add remove gets a little out of whack from the actual code, I've noticed. I think we still have the coins. Looking at this for a minute. So we have colors. We shared render strips? Oh, interesting. Buffer A, buffer B. I'm not sure how that works with the two buffers. So one of them just not visible at you can hide it, or variables are in one place. Okay. This one refactors it a bit to make a game state. Because it wants to probably have a dialogue showing state, essentially. Close this now. NPC, I assume, is the yellow one? Maybe? The yellow one that's not surrounded by the walls? Gamepad has no keys. Shouldn't be checking underscore keys, maybe? Anyway, what is it doing? Where does this trace to? 317. I assume it's... Okay, so it called just pressed, and then just pressed tried to call keys. Does it need to be just pressed? Could it be is pressed? Then it would toggle, maybe? Both dot underscore keys. What is keys in that? Keys is the keypad objects? Keys is the keypad object. We don't have... Oh. We could just set it to none. Diffs held state across frames. We want that one. But so edge equals released if keys is not none. Else, if keys is none, then do this. So we should be able to just set keys to none. A to talk. No object. 281 has no display. Wrong file. 281 dialog.draw board.display. Supervisor.runtime probably. Or really, it shouldn't it use the one it got? We got one from, where did we get the display from? Scene. What was that first code that I was looking at? Picogame game frame buffer resolve display. It's called from setup. Setup gets called from CircuitPy. Not. Oh, we could pass in display here, maybe? I don't think it matters. And then it's probably a little bit more correct because it will not be using that code to figure out. It won't be trying to like automatically tell which type of display it is. We'll need to fix this here too. This is interesting that it's dialog.draw and then you pass it the display. That feels somewhat odd to me in terms of the rest of the API, but I guess that it's something to do with the fact that it's the other buffer and that it's like kind of its own separate part. That's odd though. As far as I know, that's like the only part of the API where you are required. That's the only part that I've run into where you're required to pass the display in. Now I did just pass it into setup. But that's not required because it does figure it out even if you don't. Expected bus display. 81 and render. The dialog, it looks like, is not quite set up yet for the DVI display thing. Let's see if we can figure out what's up with it. I will probably wrap it up before too long here. We made it pretty far though. We got the whole controller working. We tested out FruitJam, PicoDVI is all working pretty well. We got the artifacts when we scroll the camera, but pretty good nonetheless. Alright, so draw is calling render. Render must be 290, no, 281 is render. This is calling self.pg.render, which is calling with display. Type error says it expected a bus display. Where is this from? Self.pg is what? So this is a text box. PG is PG. We have a bus display. I mean, I presume PG must be, whoops. PG must be the picogame object, the one that's imported here as PG probably. Yeah. So picogame.render. Render sprites into the screen region and push it to display. It seems like maybe it's supposed to work. Yeah, it has code for this actually. Okay. I think... Where does the exception come from? That's odd. I don't see where the exception came from. Type error expected a bus display. Actually in pg.getDisplay. So text box calls .2 is what? 282 is dialog.draw. Dialog is a text box. So from textbox.draw, .92 we call underscore render. From underscore render we call the core module dot render. And from there raises the type error that says expected bus display. But this comes from pg.getDisplay. Where we do call it from inside of render. So inside of render, if we have frame buffer, which we do, we try to get a frame buffer object. We check if the type of the display is a picogame frame buffer type. Plus display equals, we call that on the display object. So we know that we got into here. Oh, you know what the problem is? Remember way back, like an hour and a half ago, when I was like, I'm not going to disable this until it becomes a problem? I think now it became... possibly it became a problem. It doesn't make sense though, because if this would have returned, then this would have returned. So actually, I don't think that's the problem. Because it would have, this would have been false. So then this wouldn't have happened. So I think having that on is fine, actually. So it goes and it tries to go native, cast a native base. Bus display. Huh. Cast a possibly some class bus display to its native object, raising it if it isn't one. Also accepts the pg.display past the DMA wrapper. I wonder if we should try that. Unwrap to its underlying bus display. I mean, it's still going to fail though if it's trying to get a bus display. Okay. I am thinking maybe this part of the code's just not set up all the way for the frame buffer stuff just yet. Because when we are here, inside get display, PG get display, it seems like it's assuming that it will have that type, even though inside of here it does not. It's not going to be able to cast it to a bus display because it's not a bus display. Somehow there would need to be code here that's like dealing with frame buffer display, I think. And then once that's there, render would get back the correct object. And I mean, it must be close because we know like the whole rest of the rendering is working, right? Only the dialogue is messed up. The dialogue that's using that render function, the whole rest of the scene rendering is all working fine. It's just when it's trying to skirt that and use this render thing. Okay. I think I am probably going to call it a day for now there. So we made it quite far. We got the, I didn't really mean to close that. We got the HDMI stuff tested out. Can I reopen this? Yeah. We got the HDMI stuff tested out, or I should say DVI, Pico DVI stuff tested out on the Fruit Jam. That is working. We're able to draw everything except for the dialogue, which is using this render API. I got the gamepad hooked up. It does still need logic for repeat, but the basic functionality is working. Made it a couple steps farther in the tutorial, and we found the next issue to look at. So overall, a relatively successful and fun return to the old Saturday morning streaming, I think. So with that, I will say thanks for watching, everyone who watched along on the live stream or anyone who's watching the video in the future. I will be back on Tuesday over on the Adafruit channel for the deep dive over there. That is at the same time that I started today, 10 a.m. Central Time. That's on Tuesday on the Adafruit channel. And then, as far as I know, I am planning to continue the Saturday streams as long as I don't fill in for deep dive on Friday evening. So, as far as I know, Scott's going to be around for now to do deep dives on Friday. So I will plan on also being around here on Saturdays to do my stream on my channel, 10 a.m. Central Time. So Tuesday the 14th for the Adafruit channel, and then next week, the 18th, I should be back here on my channel. So I think that is it all for now. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful weekend as well. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching so long. Farewell.